Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, you're not California dreaming. The Yankees are in the 2024 World Series and will face off against the Los Angeles Dodgers in a star-studded World Series that we've been waiting for Yankees fans for 15 years. And of course, the headline is going to be Judge and Ohtani there. And the two classic franchises now going at each other for the 11th time in baseball history. Of course, both Brooklyn and Los Angeles there combined, and the Yankees there. So, historic World Series is probably the best type of World Series. I'm sure the baseball executives want this. I'm sure the TV executives want this there. And this is really the World Series we all deserved. If you look at all the teams involved in the playoff brackets there, it looks like, finally being a number one seed actually gets you into the World Series there. So, a lot of good stuff to get in this episode. So we're going to do some stuff there a little bit. We're going to go backtrack a little bit, not too much though. The Yankees, going on, defeating the Cleveland Guardians there, and just kind of, maybe let's go back to some of the key takeaways of that series there and how that kind of looks forward as the Yankees approach this World Series there. We'll give you the full World Series schedule, where it starts, the days, the off days, this, that, and other things. Plus, we'll peek in what we've introduced a little bit this season is just a little bit of gambling odds, betting odds. We'll kind of share with you what the odds makers are saying about the series, who's probably going to win, how long it's going to go. So share some knowledge about that. I personally, at the end, will kind of give my prediction on how it will end. And of course, the argument will be is that wouldn't you rather have a Subway Series instead? Well, my short answer to that is no, and I'll give you my logic behind that. So a lot of good stuff for the episode. And of course, these are two franchises this season that have put up some big offensive numbers, as well as some pitching numbers as well. So we'll kind of do a little comparison with both the regular season and the postseason. Just again, see how these two teams stack up number-wise. Again, baseball is a game of numbers there, so got a lot of stats for you as well. So a lot of good stuff for this episode. This is the World Series preview episode. But before we get started, as you may know, there's the audio podcast version of the show. So if you want to get my quick takes after each game, the highs, the lows, the yeses, and the nos, make sure you subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcast. Look for Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast. And of course, subscribe, something that says followed like that, hit that. And of course, YouTube, if you're watching right now, if you haven't done it already, make sure you crush, smash, destroy the subscribe button. And if you're watching on TV, got to do both now. Got to get you on YouTube, subscribe to the show there, as well as wherever you get your favorite podcast. Section 420 Talkin Yankees. Get into the World Series excitement. So this is where we have the top two teams in baseball, and we kind of figured the whole season this is the way it was headed towards. It's always a case where you never get the number one seed in both leagues into the World Series, but this is the way the thing was going this season. Again, the Yankees really had no major injuries. I know the Dodgers have lost some players such as Clayton Kershaw as well as Glasnow there, but overall, been one of the top teams in baseball, same as the Yankees. So it just seemed like these two were going to be on a collision course. Now, as we all know, something always happen in the playoffs. You could always get bounced by like a fifth or a sixth seed team like that, but nevertheless, that did not happen in this case. So again, I think baseball executives, and really the baseball world and baseball fans, I think this is the World Series that they wanted. Of course, if you root for like the Tigers or something, maybe not. But as you look at both franchises, and they have fans really across America. I mean, both these teams really transcend just their states. This is not like the Texas Rangers versus the Arizona Diamondbacks, where like really, if you're outside those states, you don't care at all. The Dodgers have fans all over the country, same as the Yankees fans. In fact, these have fans all over the world there. So, and if you look at baseball, has been on a good roll lately. You look at last offseason, the World Baseball Classic got some good ratings and got some high remarks. And ratings for this season for baseball have really been high as well. Mainly probably have to do with a lot of the rule changes now that the games are shorter. Now, not like these 4-hour marathons there. So that's happened well. So ratings are up for baseball, and this is actually a good culmination. And of course, you have all the big stars. You of course Judge versus Soto, but some other players as well, such as Yamamoto, the big free agent from this past offseason. You have something like Garrett Cole, you have Rendon, you have Stanton. Of course, on their side, they have Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. So a lot of big names, a lot of big superstars. And the whole deal. It's New York versus Los Angeles, East Coast, West Coast. And in both stadiums, whether it's Dodger Stadium or here at Yankee Stadium, you're going to have celebrities all over the place, because you can have the New York celebrities like Denzel Washington, probably with a Yankee hat in Los Angeles, and whatever, some, like Brad Pitt or something with a Dodger hat in Yankee Stadium there. So it's going to be a star-studded affair. It's going to be fun there. We got a little taste of that with Taylor Swift's little visit to Yankee Stadium, but this is going to probably be, 20 times that. You're going to probably have, the camera's going to be in the stands probably as much as it is on the field there. So now as for the two teams, obviously, the Dodgers had a little better regular season record, so they went 98-64, and the Yankees went 94-68. But again, these teams pretty evenly matched up. And now, so we're going to not beat it too much. If you look at the regular season, obviously, you have players coming in and out, you have players on injury. So, what does it all mean? So just really quickly, just go over the regular season stats just to see how these two teams just stacked up, roster-wise throughout the regular season there. So I guess maybe first we'll go with the offense, the hitting there. And for the Yankees, if you look, they led all of baseball with 237 home runs, but the Dodgers weren't that far behind, just 4 less at 233. So almost evenly matched with that. Now hits there, the Dodgers get the edge about 70 more, so they had 1,423 to the Yankees, 1,352. Batting average-wise, Dodgers just a little bit better there, 258 batting average for the team versus the Yankees, 248, so there's still 10% there, but still rather close. Not going to get to every little thing there, but this may two or three more key ones. OPS, on-base plus slugging, which is kind of the new metric, is very important right now, sometimes even more important than batting average. The Dodgers got the edge on the Yankees there with .781 compared to the Yankees .762, so the Dodgers just with a .02 advantage there. So very close, but still give the edge to the Dodgers. Walks, the Yankees got them there with 672, so the Yankees with 70 more walks compared to the Dodgers, 602. And then RBIs, that goes to the Dodgers, 815 RBIs versus the Yankees, 782 there. So again, you give the advantage a little bit, but to the Dodgers, but only by 30 there. So very evenly matched, in some categories to the Yankees, but also to the Dodgers. But overall, you say offensively, very evenly matched. Now we go over to the pitching side there, and this is, I think if the Yankees are to do something in this World Series, it's going to be by their pitching. The story, the headline really is going to be the Dodgers offenses versus the Yankees pitching there. And as you'll see, the Yankees clearly had the edge, at least during the regular season. ERA goes to the Yankees at 3.74 compared to the Dodgers 3.90. So the Dodgers closer to the 4 than the Yankees. Strikeouts, the Yankees got that. This is the Yankees philosophy. They love swing and miss stuff. They love the sliders and the sinkers and everything in the dirt there. Yankees with 1,457 compared to the Dodgers 1,390 there. So give the edge Yankee. Now opposing batting average, holding opposing hitters to a lower batting average. Again, the Yankees the advantage there. Holding opposing hitters to a .233 batting average against the Dodgers, .235. So very close, but still slight edge to the Yankees. And then, of course, last is whip, which is walks and hits per innings pitched there. Now, ironically, even though the Yankees have the edge in a lot of the key pitching categories, this one actually goes to the Dodgers by .01 of a percentage there. So basically by a fraction there, Dodgers get the edge of 1.23 versus the Yankees 1.24 there. So very microscopic. And basically that's basically a measurement of pitches, basically keeping batters off the base, not giving up hits there. So, and again, very close there. But overall, if you look at, the Yankees have the clear advantage when it comes to pitching during the regular season, and with the Dodgers, they had the clear advantage in terms of hitting there, and that's going to be probably the matchup there. And if you want to look at, basically the starting rotation there, that's probably where the Yankees have the little bit of advantage. Of course, you have Garrett Cole, number 1, Rendon, and what we saw from Schmidt and at least Luis Heel in that first game against Cleveland there. Again, for Heel just to be thrown out there, who hadn't pitched in almost 3 weeks there, give the Yankees a competent start. I think Schmidt, his 2 starts in the postseason, both against Royals and Guardians, have been good as well. We know what Rendon could do. The two games against Cleveland, he was very good. I know the second one there, not as sharp as the first one there, but still very competent. Of course, we know Garrett Cole. I know people have been a little on the edge of him, one bad start, one good start, then kind of one start. So, but still, I think Garrett Cole, as long as he's healthy, and of course he has the resume there, you feel confident more in him versus what the Dodgers could throw out there, which is, of course, like Yamamoto, Flaherty. But then after that, a lot of question marks there. Now, as for the bullpen for both, probably a slight edge to the Yankees. I mean, they have a pretty good bullpen as well. Guys has come out and thrown high octane. But again, you still give the edge a little bit to the Yankees on that one. So really, again, what it's going to come down to is, can the Yankees pitching staff just keep that offense, again, that mighty offense of the Dodgers at bay there? And of course, you just see the first 3 guys they could throw at you. Of course, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and of course Ohtani, the man of the hour, of course, like that. And even take someone like Teoscar Hernandez, who, when he was in the American League, he would kill the Yankees there. So the Yankees have to deal with a deeper offense than they have had to deal before. I mean, the Royals' offense was kind of a laugher. The Cleveland offense, I mean, after the 4th hitter there was kind of a joke. Kwan was a pesky hitter there. Fry was a decent hitter. Jose Ramirez had a great regular season, gave you nothing in the postseason there, so even those people that want to complain about Judge, look at Ramirez and Naylor. But really, after Naylor, the rest of that Cleveland batting order was kind of easy to get through there. Not going to be the case with the Dodgers there. So, the Yankees kept that Cleveland offense at bay there. Can they do that with the Dodgers? And since I just mentioned Cleveland and going back to LCS, I won't spend too much time on it, but again, hadn't really covered here on YouTube or on TV. And of course, we know the Yankees advance in 5 games. But I just want to look at some of the key takeaways, and of course, we look at one of them, of course, the insane performance by Giancarlo Stanton, winning the MVP of this series, and that's kind of a no doubt about it. Not only just hitting home runs, but clutch home runs. A home run in one case to put the Yankees ahead when Judge tied it against Clase in Game 3. Then you look at another home run, really in Game 5 there with the Yankees down 0-2, a home run to tie the game. I mean, there's monumental type of home runs. There's home runs and there's home runs. He hit some mega home runs in this series there, so good to see him do that. As well as you look at the Soto game-winning home run, you would say, in Game 5. I know it was at the top of the 10th inning, not the bottom of the 9th inning, but again, I put it up there with almost like the Chris Chandler 76 home run against the Royals to put them in the World Series, of course, doing that home at Yankee Stadium there. But just an iconic, historic Yankee home run that, again, we're going to be replaying and looking back down the years. And I think it's really a push for Soto to get re-signed here. I called that the $600 million swing, which is the projection they said the contract he's going to get there. So big clutch home run from Soto. Big clutch home runs from Giancarlo Stanton there. And we saw Judge, maybe he did finally get, of course, 2 home runs in the series, and of course, a huge one against Clase there. So honestly, he had a great series, but again, he had his iconic postseason Yankee home run there. But unfortunately, it was Game 3 in the losing effort, so it was like it almost gets erased a little bit. But just the fact we saw Judge do it, we know we could do it, that just brings the confidence to the World Series that the Yankees are going to need. And of course, we saw Gleyber Torres as well, just picked up from his great work from the World Series. Again, he looks like a new man, totally different player from 2 months ago at the plate there. He has a plan. He's taking his walks, swinging at small pitches, getting some big hits in big key spots there. So this looks like a completely different player, and something we'll have to analyze in the offseason whether the Yankees will and should bring him back. And of course, look at Luke Weaver, who's just been phenomenal in the closing role now. Yes, Game 3 there, he coughed up a little bit. I think a little bit because he got overworked a little bit. But nevertheless, you don't know how guys can respond. We look what happened with Mark Wahlers in the Atlanta Braves. When Jim Leyritz hit that 3-run home run against him in Game 4, guy was never the same pitcher again. You wonder, can a guy bounce back from this? How is he going to be? No problem with Weaver. They gave him Game 4 off, just give him a breather. Came back in Game 5, gave the Yankees 2 scoreless innings to close out the series there. So again, Luke Weaver, gave up probably one of the worst home runs you could give up in Yankee history there against Noel. But then again, but after that, then bounced back in Game 5, was able to close it out and just put it out of his mind there. So in terms of his mental makeup, good sign for that. And again, games 3, 4, and 5 for the Yankees were battle-tested games. And the Yankees, the first 2 games in the Yankee Stadium were almost like 2 cakewalks. The 3 games there in Cleveland were tough, battle-tested games there. So, the Yankees had to come back in some cases. They had to smack around Clase in some cases there. They're one of the top, probably the top reliever in baseball, you would say there. So good things the Yankees, little nuggets the Yankees could take away as now they enter the World Series. So this is how the schedule works out. Now the Dodgers, I mentioned at the top there, they had 4 more wins than the Yankees there, so they have the better record, so they're going to have the home field, which I think is going to be very important in this series. So it kicks off Friday, October 5th. That's Game 1 will be in Los Angeles. Then Saturday, Game 2, Los Angeles. And all these games are 8 o'clock starts, so whether so I guess over there it'll be like 5:08. Over here it'll be 8:08. Obviously, they're not going to make New Yorkers in the East Coast stay up to 11 o'clock to watch these games. It's just the way it is there. Because Sunday, a day off, watch your football games, then right back at it, the next 3 games in a row in the Bronx. So you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's the 28th through the 30th. Of course, Thursday now you're off again. And if you want to watch some football on Thursday, the Thursday Night Football. And then they kick it off, if necessary, again, back Friday in Los Angeles, and that'll be November 1st. And of course, if necessary, Game 7, which, if it goes that way, that'll be tremendous in terms of just the spectacle of it. That's November 2nd. So that is the schedule for the Dodgers there. And now, usually you figure that the Yankees might have the advantage because usually around this time of the year it gets a little bit cold in New York. Well, it's not going to be the case now, at least right now. It looks like for this week and next week, the projection temperature is going to be around 70s there. So, the weather in Los Angeles and here is not going to be that much of a difference. And the fact that the Dodgers faced the Mets just, the previous series there. Well, the Dodgers already kind of been in New York, and, it was actually chillier when the Dodgers were in Queens. Probably be chillier then than it were here when they'll be playing in the Bronx. So that's almost an advantage to the Dodgers that if it does dip, the temperature does dip down here, I don't think it's a major disadvantage because they've got a taste of it, and, it didn't really bother their batsmen because they whacked the Mets around totally there in Citi Field there. So I don't think the cold will bother them. So, an advantage that you thought the Yankees might have, they're not going to have weather-wise there, but let's just see, maybe out of nowhere a cold front comes in. I guess let's just mention the Mets very briefly. Again, they had really turned their season around and had a great season, which almost looked dead back in April. But unfortunately, this couldn't match up with the Dodgers, and they ended up faltering in 6 games. Actually, winning Game 5 and at least taking it out to Los Angeles, which actually helps the Yankees a little bit. This made them have to go cross country. Maybe there's a little bit more there. Had to extend their plays a little bit more there. So the Mets, maybe whether they realize it or not, actually benefit and help the Yankees just a little bbit. But as for those Mets, you might thinking, hey, you know what? I wanted a World Series. I wanted a Subway Series World Series there. I kind of enjoyed 2000, and it would have been great for the city, the excitement, the fan, and I want the trash talk and all that stuff. Well, maybe in case you didn't catch it on my audio podcast, I mentioned you do not want that. So yes, it would be exciting a little bit, but if you're a Yankee fan, you would much rather face the Dodgers. Now, would the Yankees have maybe an easier time of beating the Mets and getting that 28th World Series? And at the end of the day, is that what's most important? Yeah, but at the same time, if you lose to the Mets, that is such a disaster. It is a disgrace. They'll never let you live it down. That it's not worth the risk. So, and I'll say the Mets will be a pushover, mate, quite easily. I just get you saw the Mets has had these crazy comebacks in the 8th and 9th inning, and these amazing home runs by Lindor and Alonso. So again, there was no cakewalk that the Yankees would automatically beat the Mets. But of the two of them, you say the Yankees will at least have an easier shot against the Mets versus the Dodgers. But if you would have lost that series against the Mets, again, you would be toast. They would never let you down. They'll never let you hear the end of it on the radio, everywhere else. So it's not worth the risk. You're better off facing the Dodgers. Now, yes, maybe you're more likely to lose to the Dodgers, but there's no shame in losing to the Dodgers. I mean, you could say they're incrementally the better team, or you could say they're evenly matched, or maybe the Yankees are incrementally the better team. But if you lose to them, there's no disgrace to it. I mean, you can't get swept because that would be bad, or maybe you're dropping in 5 games and get bludgeoned. That would be bad. But other than that, if this goes 6, 7 games, or maybe it's a competitive 5, super competitive, close score 5 games, those are all things you could live with. And I know, yes, you want that 28th championship, but at the same time, you just can't let the Met fan get that World Series over you, because what would happen is there'll probably be not another Subway Series for another 60 years, and you'll have to hear like 60 years of trash talk and abuse, even though the Yankees organization have all the success, all the championships, Babe Ruth, Derek Jeter, Mickey Mantle, Joe D, all that stuff. That all goes out the window because the Met fan will never let you hear that down. So it's not worth the risk. Yes, you maybe would have beaten the Mets there, but you'd much rather face the Dodgers. So whether you're curious or you're thinking about putting down a bet, saw an article in the New York Post, and I guess they did some stats from Bet MGM there in terms of what the odd makers predict of how and where this series is going to go there. And as we mentioned before, the team that usually has the negative, the minus in front of it, for those who are not familiar with gambling, I just kind of learned this myself this year, the one with the minus is usually the favorite team there. So in terms of who's going to win the series, according to Bet MGM, they have the Dodgers at minus 130 compared to the plus 110 for the Yankees. So right now the odds makers are predicting that the Dodgers will win this series. And another question there, or another bet you want to put down, is how many games this is going to go. Right now, the 190 is at 5.5 games. So does that really mean going to go 5 games or 6 games? But it seems more unlikely it's going to be either 5 or 6 games this is going to go. And you might think, well, what's the odds of this going to 7 games? The bet there is plus 200, which means, again, unlikely to go 7 games there. So the odds makers are kind of probably pushing this towards a 6-game series, which kind of makes sense. Now, for the Yankees strategy, you would figure, they're starting the first 2 games off in Los Angeles, especially the fact that you have Garrett Cole in Game 1. Obviously you'd like to take both games. That'd be great. And you come back home to the Bronx, up 2-0. Is it possible? Yes, but you at least want to take one of those games, okay, and then come back to the Bronx with a 1-1 split. And then at that point, winning the next 3 games in a row is probably a tough task there. But if you at least win 2 out of 3 at home in the Bronx for the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, it's not that much of an ask there. And then you go off to Los Angeles back again, and you only need to win one of those 2 games there. So the strategy is set for the Yankees, even though, again, as the odd makers predict, that it's probably unlikely they win the series there. But if they could grab one of those first 2 games there, come home to the Bronx, win 2 out of 3 in the Bronx, and then from there, if you could take it in Game 6, great. Or if you push it to a Game 7, you still have an opportunity to win the series there. So it is in front of the Yankees there, but again, according to the odds maker, it's unlikely. And what makes this World Series a little bit special, it kind of bucks the trend of what's been going on in baseball. A little problem with football as well is where the number one seeds are not getting to either the World Series or the Super Bowl. It just seems like, one of them just get eliminated in the first round, usually because they have the bye and like maybe the pitches aren't as sharp and the hitters aren't as sharp. And then when they face a hot team that just got in via the wild card, they get knocked out and kind of almost makes the regular season somewhat useless there. At least it's good in this situation with these two teams that they were the number one seed in both the American League and the National League there, so it justifies basically just the way they've structured now these playoff brackets. Again, they've been tinkering with them for the past couple of years there, and it justifies having a good regular season, getting the number one seed, yes, having that first round bye there, and be able to line up your pitchers and players, and maybe they get over some of their aches and bruises from August, September, and get ready to hit the ground running in October for baseball. So good for this point, because usually it doesn't happen. You always see a number one seed team get eliminated at some point there, and you kind of have that World Series that it's okay, but it's not the one you expected. Yankees, Dodgers, and then again, pretty much, the Yankees, had the little problems there in the summer there, but these are two teams. And you could throw the, Philadelphia there as well, maybe a little bit of San Diego. Again, some of the top teams in the league there. You want your top teams getting into the World Series because it kind of justifies the rest of the regular season. So makes a 162 game season, worth it, not irrelevant. Again, you don't really want that. Well, one Yankee who's been missing out on all this postseason fun has been Nestor Cortes. As you may recall, had to be scratched from his last start of the season, had an MRI on the elbow. They saw a little inflammation there, and he's been shut down ever since. They kind of toyed with the idea as maybe he could come back for the ALCS, but even then he wasn't healthy. But now they say that, at least Boone mentioned, that he could be a possibility for the World Series. I don't really think the Yankees should go there. First of all, he hasn't pitched in over a month, and again, he has thrown some live batting practice, great. But again, as a starter there, I'd much rather see Clark Schmidt or Luis Gil. Again, Schmidt has been competent in the two starts he had. The one against the Royals, he got with 2 outs there, he just had a little bit bad luck of an infield hit there. And against Cleveland, he was also pretty good at there as well. Again, he did give up a home run early, but that overall gave a Yankee a good quality start there. And Luis Gil, again, he hadn't pitched in almost 2.5 weeks there. Again, he gave the Yankees a competent start there. Gave the Yankees 4 innings. I even think Boone should have went with him with one more inning. I know maybe you don't want to push it too much and use, this whole postseason thing has been a committee of bullpen like that. But Luis Gil, he was looking good. Even in that 4th inning, probably the strongest of the 4 innings there. It was still topping the fastball at 97, 98 miles per hour. I'd rather the Yankees use those 4 out there, not Nestor Cortes, who hasn't pitched in over a month, and we're not even sure, what he could really bring to the table and how long he could go. The only really benefit you would have of him is because him being a left-hander at least could neutralize Ohtani and Freddie Freeman a little bit. Okay, so that's an argument maybe for Nestor, but again, I wouldn't want him to have him start a game there. If you want to bring him aboard maybe and have him in the bullpen instead of someone like Marcus Stroman, okay. Again, Stroman didn't see any action at all, even though they added him to the roster there. So Nestor Cortes, though, but the fact that he hadn't pitched in a month there, again, unless you maybe want to use him as a long reliever type of weapon, okay. Other than that, I don't think he should be one of the 4 starters. I think he should go with Cole, Rendon, Schmidt, and Gil. Now, if you want to look at the path both the Yankees and the Dodgers took to get here, you have to say overall that the Dodgers had the tougher path overall against looking at the teams that they face. Now, and also have the stats, we went through the regular season stats a little early in the episode. Now we have the postseason stats. But one little caveat you do have to keep in mind a little bit. The Dodgers have played 2 more games in total than the Yankees. Again, the Yankees were able to take care of the Royals much quicker. Dodgers had to struggle a little bit against San Diego and had to struggle just a little bit extra against the Mets, and the Yankees had to do against Cleveland there. But at least we'll look at their numbers again during this postseason. Now, of course, the Dodgers, as mentioned before, almost got taken to the brink by San Diego. In fact, there was a good portion of that series that you thought San Diego was going to knock out the Dodgers. Not the case there, but they had a battle like then. Now, the Dodger offense, overall, you would say bludgeoned the Mets to death, but the Mets able to surprise the Dodgers a little bit with wins in Game 2 in Los Angeles, as well as Game 5 in Queens, at least bring it back to Los Angeles there. And, of course, the Yankees, as mentioned, they pretty much, a little bit scared in Game 2 against the Royals, but other than that, you felt very confident that the Yankees would get past the Royals. And as I mentioned before, you felt very confident the Yankees would get past Cleveland, just the fact that they've handled Cleveland very well in recent history, even going back to the 2022 divisional series there. And the Yankees, especially when they came out and won the first 2 games there, you figure at very least they were at least going to come back to home and probably clinch it in a Game 6. But they did one better than that. Clinch Game 5 in Cleveland, which I kind of predicted to be a 5 to 6 game type of series there. But overall, the Dodgers had the tougher task of getting here than the Yankees. But again, games 3, 4, and 5 in Cleveland with the Yankees. Again, there were some big moments that the Yankees were battle tested, so that's good. But overall, you say the Dodgers probably had a little bit of a tougher path, a little bit of a longer path to get where they are. Now, you want to look at the stats of both teams, both hitting and pitching in the postseason, just to see. And it kind of reflects a little bit, as I said, the stats of the regular season. Again, this is going to be the Dodgers offense against the Yankees pitching, which one is going to win out. So as for the Dodgers in the postseason, batting average of 251 compared to the Yankees 237. So batting average high for the Dodgers. You want to look at home runs. They had 20 compared to the Yankees only 15. But again, Dodgers had 2 more games, so it is something to be considered there. But again, Dodgers with 5 more postseason home runs. And then last but not least, and this is kind of a big one here, RBIs, 66 for the Dodgers compared to only 39 for the Yankees. So it's like almost 30 more RBIs the Dodgers hit. A lot had to do with the Mets series where the Dodgers absolutely just, some of those games just absolutely blew the Mets out. There were some football scores they put up there against some of the Met pitching there. So again, clearly it seems like the Dodgers are the better hitting team in this postseason, which is kind of the case during the regular season. And of course, we'll flip over to the pitching edge of it. And same as the regular season, the Yankees the edge there with a 3.27 ERA. Again, the Yankee, both starters and the bullpen, very excellent overall, you would say. I know the Yankee bullpen got smacked around a little bit in games 3 and 4 in Cleveland, but overall, you say the totality of it and the fact that it absolutely shut down the Royals. The bullpen had like 15 innings and change of scoreless baseball there. Again, the Yankee pitching overall has been fabulous. Again, they really didn't give it too many big innings, hardly gave any home runs at all. They again kept the ball in the park there, so did their job in that regard there. So lower ERA there. Strikeouts, about the same more or less. 81 strikeouts in 82.2 innings for the Yankees, and 80 strikeouts in 97 innings for the Dodgers there. So maybe the Yankees with a slight edge there. So as you just look for the path there, and it's kind of the same in the regular season. The Dodgers, seem to be the better hitting team, but the Yankees seems to be the better pitching team there. So again, just to repeat myself a million times, that's going to be what the matchup is. So for the World Series of this episode, I'll give you my prediction of I feel how it'll end up. And again, I'm going to kind of take myself out of the body of a Yankee fan and look at this objectively. So everything I mentioned so far in this episode with the hitting, the weather, the schedule, everything else, it seems like you would have to predict Dodgers in 6. Now, before you throw something at the TV or your computer, I'll have to break this down for you. You got to look at the Dodgers. They're the home team. It's beneficial to them. Again, when you get the last out, whether it's the bottom of the 9th, bottom of the 10th, bottom of anything there, you're at the advantage from there. Weather-wise, as mentioned before, New York, it's going to be warmish in both ways there, so I don't see the Dodgers having any sort of drop-off in terms of weather being a problem. And they just faced the Mets. So they've been doing the cross-country thing now for a couple of weeks. So for them to be doing it in New York out of nowhere again, not really a big deal. I know there's a week off between the NLCS and the World Series, but nevertheless, the Dodgers have been kind of going back and forth cross-country. So, there's no really benefit of them losing sleep or losing the sleep patterns there. So they've been doing it already for a couple of weeks. So the Yankees don't really get any edge there. And just look at the Dodger offense, whether it's regular season or during the postseason, they've been tearing the cover off the ball. And the Yankees pitching has been great this postseason, but this is not the Royals offense, and this is not the Cleveland Guardians offense. This is a much higher offense. You just look at the first couple of guys, some Mookie Betts, Ohtani. I know Freddie Freeman's a little bit banged up now himself, but Teoscar Hernandez and a bunch of other players there. This is a much deeper, tougher lineup that the Yankee pitching will be able to go up against. Now, Cole, he has the potential of being great there. We all know what he could do there, but he hasn't been fabulous this postseason. He had the one good start, and he had 2 bad starts there. So if I had a stronger Cole, I'd feel a little bit better there. But overall, and if we just look what the odds maker is saying, the odds makers are saying 6 games. So usually these guys are pretty right there. So unfortunately, you're probably looking at Dodgers at 6. Don't throw anything at the TV.